So we start the day off. We've got a bullish cross. We had a big compression in here. Buyers and sellers are paired off the previous day. Am I expecting a big pullback or retracement? No, they're in balance. I'm just watching for one side or the other to prevail. I've got this huge bullish cycle in here. Look at that baby move higher, but it's not producing. Long red candle. Okay, I'm not doing anything right in here. I'm just watching. I want to see what happens in here. Geez, this is my thought. I know this would be my thought. Here we go again. Hurry up and wait. What do we got going today? Nothing. We got hardly any volume in here. We got a nice big bullish cycle that ran, didn't produce anything. We're in this same dang compression that we've been in for the last 8 hours now. Ho hum. Well, hopefully there's a nice strong stock that I can latch onto. Market's not going to help the position or hinder it. What would I like to see? Nice long green candles, one way or the other. Gee, we try and poke through. We try and flush out some shorts. Maybe it triggers a few buy stops. Here we go, here we go. Blam. Nope, nothing. All right, we're doing a whole lot of nothing in here. We are just chopping back and forth, which tells me I'm not going to rely on this indicator. We're in a compression. Indicator is going to give buy signals. It's going to give sell signals. They're not going to be very legitimate because the market's not doing anything. Again, another reason why this indicator or any other indicator would be very difficult to program, because I'd have to figure out how would I know if this is a compression or not. And so you can see that we are just chopping back and forth with long candles. You get a bearish cycle in here. It doesn't produce anything. You get a bullish cycle in here. Barely, because there's zero. There's really, could you have gotten long? If you're long stocks because the market's been trending higher, you're in decent shape, but there's not a lot going on price action wise. So now you can see that this bullish cycle actually has produced a little bit, okay? There's not a big range right now. It's maybe 58, probably not even a 10-point range. So these candles might look long, but they're really not. It's just the market hasn't gone anywhere. Bearish cycle. Am I going to be excited about this? Not really. The price action's telling me not to be. What would I want to see though? I want to see a breakout. I would like to see a benign bearish cycle that goes well below zero with the market floating right here up to the prior high. Why would I want to see that? Because when a cycle runs and it doesn't produce, it increases the odds that the next cycle will produce. Well, if I'm near the high of the day and I get a bearish cycle in here and then I get a bullish cycle near the high of the day, I would consider getting long there because I have the entire bullish cycle to work with, and there's a chance that we could blow through that resistance and maybe finally get something going on the upside. Again, I don't know. Well, that's actually what happened. So this ended up being a bullish divergence and we stayed right up here. I would start getting long in here because I can recognize that this is a bullish divergence with a breakout to a new high. I haven't even gotten the bullish cross yet and the market's breaking out. So I would feel pretty comfortable being long in here. And now we get this nice long green candle. So I would have been long in here. I would not have had a problem being long in here. There's some follow through in here. All right, I got nice follow through in here. All right, well, we're still in that bearish cycle. Now what would I do? Well, I'm going to use the open of this long green candle as my stop out point. And remember, my entry is right about in here as well. So I want to see it preserved. Long red candle, and there I would be out. Okay, this is just a buying climax and a choppy move higher. I can't trust any move because you've got mixed overlapping candles. How we get from point A to point B matters. Nice rally, blam. Nice rally, blam. Nice rally, blam. This is mixed overlapping garbage. There's really nothing to it. So I have to be very cautious, keep my trade size down, keep my trade count down. This is just not a day I can get aggressive on. I finally get a decent move. I'm finally long in here and I stop out for tiny loss, maybe even a scratch. But this bearish cycle does actually produce. So now we're at the close of the day. It's like, that was a great big nothing burger. Oh, geez, here we go. Another gap up to a new high through the prior day's high. We're not going to chase this. We're going to watch. So what happens? So we get this nice bullish cycle. Did it produce? Not to the extent that we wanted to, because we're still seeing some red candles in here. We're seeing mixed overlapping candles. We are above VWAP. What would I like to see? You're always thinking, I play chess, and chess is the same thing. What would I like to see my opponent do? What's he most likely to do? If he makes the most likely move, how will I respond? How will he respond? You're always 2 steps ahead, watching and thinking of what you would like to see. So what I would like to see, given that the market is bullish, the market is through the prior high, my best odds of trading are going to be on the upside, because the market's been in a longer term uptrend. I've got this gap up. I've got a bearish cycle that runs. I would like to see this bearish cycle be benign. Please don't produce. So from a long standpoint, that's where my best opportunities are going to be. From a shorting standpoint, what would tell me that the market's going to go lower and fill the gap? Well, if I start seeing long red candles that easily, quickly get into the gap, then I might try a small short position on this bearish cross. Otherwise, what I'm really hoping for is I'd rather see the market just kind of hold its own, have a bearish cycle that doesn't produce anything. And that's actually what's happening in here, is that I'm seeing a bearish cycle that's not producing. So this gap up through resistance is actually holding. I've got a series of higher lows. This is all consistent with, yes, I can be long in here. I can try the long side. VWAP was not even breached during this bearish cycle. We're below 0 and we're starting to move higher. We've got a new high of the day. So yes, I would be comfortable getting long here. And it's consistent with OneOp telling me that yes, we could have a bullish cross coming up in here. So you take a long position in here, and is it producing? Not really, but again, the market's not really doing anything. Do I need to stop out? Is there anything awful, horrible that's happened in here? Not really. I mean, the market's just making higher lows and staying above VWAP at this point. So I would be using my entry point as a stop out. I could also use VWAP as a stop out. It's still pretty close to where I'm at, but I want to see, dang it, I want to see this bullish cycle produce. And it has yet to. I need to see some nice green candles through to a new high of the day. And I'm not getting it. So at this juncture, I've got a bearish cross. I would try and stop out of the trade. I should be able to do that for a small gain. I mean, we're still near the high of the day, maybe even a scratch. There's just nothing going on, and that's okay. So now I've got a bearish cycle. What do I want to see out of the bearish cycle? I still need to get through this low of the day, and I need to do so convincingly. This is looking a little encouraging in here, this nice long red candle. No, it's just, we test that low and we bounce right off of it. Now I've got a bullish cross. Okay. You're going from bearish cycle to bullish cycle. You're in a compression. There's not a lot going. Mixed overlapping candles. I'm keeping it light. I'm trying to find a window of opportunity in here anywhere. So now I've got support, and it's been able to hold. I've got a bullish cross. I got a nice long green candle. I've got follow through. I'm back to VWAP. Could I get long here? Yes, I could get long here. I could even front run getting through VWAP a little bit, on the notion that we are above the prior day's high and that buyers have been generally engaged. So yes. And so you get long in here and you're like, okay, well, I'm trying to ride this out. And now I can see the whole day is just a mishmash of activities. There's nothing going on. I'm in wait and see mode again. So either stopping out for a small loss or a scratch, and there's just nothing going on in this bearish cycle. I'm just kind of waiting for anything to happen. And there we go. We've got another day when we're basically falling asleep as traders because the market is just trapped in this malaise. Gap up. We know not to chase gaps up. And we actually cleared that prior day's high. So that's interesting, but we're not acting on it. And now we see a little bit of a smackdown in here. Okay, well, that's good. Maybe this bearish cycle is going to produce. How would I approach this? Well, first of all, long red candle, compress, follow through. Not bad, not great. Still, after this type of price action and this compression, this range is going to be sticky. Okay, so buyers and sellers are happy in this range. I need to break below this low, and I need to do it convincingly, and I need to do it instantly, and I need to do it with some volume. So I need to see that crack down quickly. That's the only trade I would take right now. And now, bullish cross in here. I'm just going to scoot through this price action because it's been garbage. Bullish cross. Would I buy this bullish cross? We're on support, 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 support. Yes, but I need to see something that tells me it's going to produce, and I'm not seeing any consecutive long green candles. I'm not seeing any sustained movement. So this is just program-driven garbage. So I'm not seeing anything decent in here. And now the market continues this bullish cycle, gets above zero, got a bearish cycle. That didn't last very long. I've got another little bullish cycle in here, and we're above VWAP. Would I get long in here? No, I'm going to be waiting. There's not a lot to really tell me that I need to be long or short in here. This is just a compression, and I'm not really seeing a whole lot one way or the other. I've got a nice little bullish cross. We made a little move through it here. So no, there's nothing that tells me I need to be trading in here. Now we go into the next day. Again, the market's just not giving us much to work with. Would this have been a good short? Did OneOp predict this move well? Yes, it did. Look, you got a nice little sell-off here. This is a bullish cross. Did OneOp predict that this was a good place to be long? Yes, the market did move higher. And you can see how this indicator tends to be early. Back in here, it's telling you, yeah, you should be watching for support, and you should be in a position where if you see something decent above VWAP, you should be getting long. So yes, if you had a really strong stock, you could take confidence knowing that, yes, there's some support forming here and I'm consistent with that bullish cycle. So yeah, I could get long in there. It does help you, even though there may not be an S&P trade, it does help you time stock trades. Here we go with the market right here. And we've got a bearish cross, but lots of mixed overlapping garbage. Yes, does the indicator produce? Absolutely. Here's a bullish cross. Do we get a bounce? Yes, we do get a little bit of a bounce, but again, there's nothing really to trade off of. Bearish cross. Now the market is starting to move lower. We're getting a little bit of a breakdown. Not anything really great. I know what this is. This is the FOMC statement, and that's why the price action has been so compressed the last 2 days, and that also is part of your S&P trading and your stock trading. Is when you have a major announcement like an FOMC statement where this time they were expecting a rate cut, you're going to have traders are going to be squared off. They're not going to be placing any large bets ahead of that news, so they're going to be relatively passive. And when that news comes out, that's when you're going to start to see some trading activity. So I'm on a bearish cycle right here. I get this big liftoff in the market, and that long green candle is instantly reversed. Would I be trading this? And now, not after an FOMC reaction. I'd like to see at least a half hour's worth of price action. Otherwise, I'm not going to be trading it. And if I did trade it, I would need to see directional movement, meaning green candle, green candle, green candle, green candle. I would get behind that. Instantly, I get a green and a red and a red. No. This is back and forth. This is telling me indecision. Right out of the gate. What happened was that we got a 25 basis point rate cut. That's what the market was expecting. So we're on a bearish cycle though, and you can see, okay, now I'm getting some follow through in here. Would I trust this move lower? I wouldn't, because I'm already seeing that buyers and sellers, they are paired off. And this is hindsight that I'm giving you right now, but it wasn't hindsight when I posted this in the chat room. When I saw these candles right in here, I saw this and I saw this. I told my members in the chat room, watch. This is going to be a nothing burger. You're going to get a lot of movement, and we're going to close right around VWAP. And I know that because this was only a couple of days ago, but this was real-time commentary, and it's the price action that told me that this is what was going to play out. How we get from point A to point B matters. And so, this looks great. Look at this big drop. This is actually a nice little bullish cross that we had in here. Would I have traded it? Now, because it was an FOMC reaction. And you can see how the market did close right where it was before that FOMC statement. So this is where it came out. This is where we closed. Great big nothing burger. These candles, these first candles are what told me that was the likely outcome, because buyers and sellers were battling it back and forth, neither side able to really establish control. Gap up to a new high. Got a bullish OneOp cross right in here, and we're convincingly through that prior day's high. We're convincingly through the high of the day. Yes, I like this. Long green candle, long green candle. We have a breakout and we're starting to get follow through. Yeah, I'm long in here. We get some follow through, bearish hammer, bearish cross, heavy, long red candle. So yeah, I'm going to be careful in here and I'm going to end up exiting that trade for a small gain. It's okay. That's how the market's been. I'm going to see what happens. I don't want to test VWAP at all. I want to stay nice and high right up in here, and we test VWAP easily. If we had a pullback and this were legitimate, I would want to move sideways, and if we did pull back, I would want to see it just a little bit at a time, not much. Well, these are long red candles. That tells me that sellers were able to easily get back to VWAP. Nothing going. I shouldn't be overly bullish in here because we should have stayed tight to the high and we should have continued to climb. That would have set us up for a bullish trend day. Doesn't look so likely. Bullish cross in here. This little bearish move right in here. It did produce. So we're staying at VWAP. And now we're just kind of waffling back and forth. There's a bullish cycle that didn't produce. Maybe this bearish cycle will produce. Well, if it does, I want to blow through VWAP and I want to start seeing some selling pressure. If I don't see that, it's going to tell me the next bullish cross could be pretty decent. And now we get a bullish cross in here. We're above VWAP. Could I try some longs in here? Yes. Here we go again. I'm looking for a bullish cycle to produce nice, long, green candles and a new high of the day. Off to the races. That's what I want to see, and I am long, and that is not what I am seeing. Instead, I'm seeing these tiny, wimpy, little compressed candles that indicate that there is some selling pressure. And now I've got another cross in here. Yeah, I'm going to be taking gains and getting out of my trade, seeing what happens. Nuts. Now we've got just back and forth compression again. We're staying tight to VWAP. We're not able to move one way or the other. It tells me to really focus on price action and kind of discount what I'm seeing out of 1OP. I think this is probably the final day of price action. We've got a nice bullish cross in here. I want to see it produce. I want to see this pullback reversed instantly. I want to see a move higher. Did I get it? No. Geez. A compression. I've got a bearish cross in here. There's been nothing going. Maybe we can get something going on the short side here. So I've got a bearish cross. I've got some decent volume in here. This is actually triple witching. And so I'm kind of looking at the low from the previous day, not so much that wick in here. I'm kind of looking at this support level. I'm looking at the low of the day. I would want to see this bearish cycle produce with some nice long red candles. Would I short that? Yes, I would. I can see a series of lower highs. Okay, that's good. So I can lean on that. And so now we got this bearish cycle. We're starting to get a little bit of a breakdown. There's a bullish cycle right in there. Nice big volume spike in here. So I'm marginally short in here. I'm not really gun-ho wanting to stick with the position. If I see any of these long red candles, the open of that long red candle, the open of that long red candle, the open of that long red candle. Every time I see a red candle, a long red candle, I'm going to the open of that long red candle and I want to see it preserved. If it's not, especially during a bullish cross like this, I'm going to be out of the position. And so here we go. We're back above it, bullish cross. I'm out of that short position. Didn't produce. Okay, did I make money? Did I lose money? Again, just kind of scratching. But I've got a bullish cross in here, and now I'm back above VWAP. This is not looking too bad. Let's see if that coincides with any kind of low. It does coincide with this low here, so there's a minor support level we're bouncing off of. And I've got a little bit of follow through, so yes, I can be a little long on that bullish cross in here, but not anything overly exciting. And so we're still well below zero. We never, this is all still part of a bullish cycle because we aren't above zero in here. So yeah, you're just kind of sticking with it. But at this juncture, I'm not seeing any follow through. So yes, this was a decent little entry point, decent little buy, but the market's not doing anything. So I'll take profits in here. I'm not going to push the envelope when the market's in a compression. I'm not going to be in a futures position because I'm trying to manage my risk. And I don't want to have any kind of event that comes out during the day that turns a winning trade into a loser. If the market's compressing, that tells me buyers and sellers are in balance. Wait for one side or the other to prevail. We get this little dip down below, no additional movement in S&P, and we finally get a bullish cross. Okay, I'm watching for anything that looks good, okay? We get a long green candle. What do I want to see at a long green candle? I want to see it preserved. I want to see the open preserved. I want to see the halfway preserved. I want to see follow through. Do I get it? Looks like it. Blam. No. So I'm not excited by that. But here I am kind of excited by this because I get this long test of the open of that green candle. It looks like it's going to reverse, but then at the last minute, it closes to a bullish hammer. I would buy in here. And you've got a nice bullish cycle with some distance in here. So I'm also going to be using that. If I'm in here on that bullish hammer, it finished. I'm long in here. I'm going to be using that right there, that open at 63.10 as my stop. Keep it fairly tight. And I was able to make a little bit of money, not much. So 4 or 5 points. So that's how we use the OneOp indicator. And you can see how we use price action first and foremost. So out of this lesson, what you should be learning is how to read price action on the S&P 500. What the cycles help me identify are those problem areas where perhaps I've had a bullish cycle that has been extended and now I'm starting to see signs of resistance. Compressed tiny bodied candles. Do I have to exit the position? No, but I'm on alert that this move could actually reverse. And if I get those signs, those long red candles off of a relative high, I'm going to exit. I'm going to take my profits and be out of the position. If I'm seeing bullish cycles that don't materialize, they don't produce, that's a benign cycle. And in those instances, I'm going to be under the premise that the next cycle is going to produce. And I understand exactly which technical levels I want to see breached during that cycle and what I want those candles to look like, because that's going to tell me if that cycle is legitimate or not. So instead of being reactive, I'm proactive. I understand, I know what I'm looking for, what price points I want to be able to get through. So like right here, where we're compressed during the final stages of a bearish cycle, it's not producing. I'm envisioning, what do I want to see? I want to see a nice breakout. I want to see some long green candles. I want to see some follow through. And when I get it, I know instantly, okay, this is a good opportunity. This is an opportunity for me to get long. And so I'm doing the same thing on the bearish side. If I get a bullish cycle that doesn't produce and it doesn't produce, well, what do I want that bearish cycle to look like? I want to see those long red candles and I want to be breaking below compressions. I want to see higher volume. So that's how this one indicator helps me time all of my stock trades. And when the market's not giving us a lot to work with, oftentimes it's boring, and then you get your opportunity maybe 2 or 3 hours into the trading day. Well, this is, benign cycle. What do I want to see? How am I setting this up? And then eventually all the tumblers line up and you get your opportunity. While you're going through these benign cycles, you're also searching for stocks that have great relative strength or weakness. And during this market malaise, as I will refer to it as, which let's go into a 30-minute chart, and you can see this is a bunch of garbage, to be quite frank. This is a very difficult environment to be trading, day trading in particular, when it comes to S&P 500 futures. And that's why when I trade futures, I would say they're probably 1 out of every 5 days is a trend day. And we have a really good opportunity. We've got the volume. We have the movement in the S&P 500 to justify trading the S&P 500 futures. We know that longer term money is coming to market, and that is what's causing that trend day. It's not the buy programs. It's not the sell programs. Those programs are dominating 60, 70, 75% of the daily volume is generated by these buy and sell programs. They're trading futures against the baskets. They're trading options against the baskets. There's all sorts of activity that they're involved in. And those programs account for the majority, the vast majority, like 70, 75% of the price action when the market's not doing anything and the volume is light. When we get big news that comes out, that's where the longer term money is starting to adjust their positions. And that volume gives those moves credence, legitimacy. And that's when we can look for those moves to be sustained. That's when we're going to get our trend days. That's when we're going to be able to predict price movement, take the move, stick with the move. And then maybe the programs are comprising 40% of the volume, 50% of the volume. The reason they're not more is because that longer term money is in there as well as the short term money. Out of all the trading sessions, there might only be one legitimate S&P trade during the course of a day. There might only be one legitimate trend day out of every 5 when we can trade futures more aggressively. And I'm normally going to be trading stock because in crappy market conditions like this, tiny mixed overlapping candles, hindsight, yes, drift lower, lower highs, lower lows. You can get behind a weak stock. You can day trade that very effectively. You've got 3,000 stocks, 5,000 stocks to pick from. There's going to be a stock that has great relative weakness that you can stick with and ride that position. Market's moving higher, great, compression. The market's not going to help or hinder. It's not going to provide a tailwind, and you don't have to worry about the rug being pulled out from under you. Can you trade stocks that have great relative strength on a day like this? Yes, 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 yes. There have been some stocks that have been flying like freaking mad. The AI stocks right now, quantum computing stocks, they have been red hot. The chip stocks are always moving back and forth. So you can always find opportunity to trade stocks. And that is why we focus on stocks. You can see I went through all this price action. And yes, there are times when the market is moving dramatically. And we can go into a D1 chart and I can show you lots of periods where, yeah, I would be actively trading futures, and I am actively trading futures. But when we're in this grind higher where the intraday ranges are completely compressed. If you looked at the 20-day ATR on the S&P 500, it's at a quarter of where it was 4 months ago. So if the range used to be, let's say, 60 S&P points, now it's 15 S&P points during the course of the day. Very, very tough trading conditions. So we want to strike when the iron's hot, when there's lots of movement. It's easier for me to trade futures because I don't have 5 or 6 different stock positions that I'm having to monitor and watch, enter and exit. I have one underlying, and that's the futures contract. So it makes it really easy for me to be actively trading futures then. But the rest of the time, I'm going to be in stocks because that's where my odds are the highest. And I'm going to use these 1OP cycles to help me determine that, yes, the market moved higher. I've gone through a bearish cycle that didn't produce. Right in here, I've got a bullish cycle that's going to put the wind at my back. I've got a chance that it'll produce a market rally. And if I'm in stocks with relative strength, I'm going to have that extra tailwind that's going to fuel that stock higher. And if I don't have that market tailwind, I don't have to worry about the rug getting pulled out beneath me because I've got a bullish cycle to work with. So there's only upside if that bullish cycle, like in this case, doesn't produce. Well, it wasn't a drag on the position. The stock is going to have to do all of the heavy lifting on its own. And it's already shown me that it's got relative strength, heavy volume, technical breakout. It's a good opportunity for me to go in and get long that position on a move like that. And so same thing on this day here. You've got a big bearish cycle that runs its course in here, compress, 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 nothing happens. I've got really good stocks that are moving higher, higher, higher. Don't have to worry about the market rug getting pulled out. Yeah, I could buy those stocks with confidence and ride that relative strength higher. Same deal here. You know, we get this big market move up. You've got a nice bullish cycle to work with. Market in here, you know it hasn't done much. You're in this bullish cycle. Give it a shot. Try and buy some stocks that have good relative strength to them. Got through the same thing here. This is a 30-minute chart. These 1OP, they're going to last longer, but you can see how this bearish cycle didn't produce and the market's compressing. My confidence that when it hasn't produced for a while, that it's not going to produce increases, and I can continue to try those long stocks. Out of all the price action that I've shown you, you've really learned the different types of things that you should look for and how to read price action. Again, this is educational. Please give this video a thumbs up. I'm trying to reach as many traders as I possibly can. And when you subscribe to my YouTube channel, or you give the video a thumbs up, or you leave your comments, it helps elevate my channel. So please make sure to do that. If you have any questions, please ask them. Always trade stock. Don't trade the futures. But there will be times when those opportunities present themselves. Knowing when you have them and when you don't is very, very important when it comes to trading futures. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers, and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.